Iranian state media is currently saturating the airwaves with a victory that simply didn't happen. Tehran claims its ballistic missiles rendered the USS Abraham Lincoln non-operational, forcing it to flee the Arabian Sea. The reality? The Lincoln is fully operational, conducting flight ops as part of Operation Epic Fury, while the Iranian Navy has just lost another vessel after a failed suicide run into a U.S. restricted zone. But as the propaganda war heats up, the kinetic war just reached a new dangerous threshold. Israel has violently lashed out at Iran's South Pars gas fields, and in response, President Trump is now weighing a move that could end the war or trap the U.S. in it for a generation: the potential deployment of thousands of ground troops to seize Kharg.
As Sentcom pointed out, that those reports of an F-15 being shot down are false. As you can imagine, Iran is doing everything it can to peddle in lies, deception, and inflation of numbers and reality, mostly to propagandize to their own people, right? They've shut down the internet. They're hoping they can convince their own population that they're having success. One thing one of their leaders said recently is that, 500 Americans have been killed, they claim. These are lies. The lies will continue. Sentcom will continue to debunk those lies. So
we are in a game of information warfare right now, and the information warfare has actually came back to the United States. It's masquerading as truth. There are multiple news outlets, as you know as well as I do, that push propaganda, that have faked explosion, that have faked attacks on their own reporters. And now the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, addresses this head on in a briefing this morning. Iran has released information. I've had people come on my channel here and say that the United States has lost planes, they've lost aircraft, the Abraham Lincoln has been sank, the Gerald Ford has been sank, morale, and we've got, basically these rogue military members. This is all Tokyo Rose. This is Hanoi Jane. That's what this is, and I'm glad to see this guy address it because it's misinformation. It is detrimental to the mission. It is detrimental to the United States. More importantly, it's detrimental to the men and women that are serving, prevent their families from being worried. And I'm glad that this is being addressed. And we're going to get into a little more of this about what Iran is doing, but they're taking a playbook straight out of a political campaign, and maybe you would know which political party is peddling the misinformation better than I would.
And as often is the case in conflict, first reports are often wrong. As it pertains to nuclear material and things like that, one of the objectives the president has always said is that Iran will not have a nuclear bomb, nuclear capabilities, but we would never disclose what we will or will not do inside operational plans. So Admiral Cooper's got a plan. We're working that plan, and targets will be struck or not struck according to what we want to achieve.
The podcast space has had their head spinning since this current administration took over because there hasn't been any leaks. And before this administration came in, and Donald Trump learned a lot from his first time in the Oval Office. There were so many people around him that were leaking information. Now there's information coming out, or there's stories coming out about a guy by the name of Joe Kent, part of the Counterterrorism Center, how he was possibly one of the leakers. It was very ill-timed for him to resign, saying there was no nuclear materials, there was no information that would lead to us defending or attacking Iran to prevent them from anything. It was addressed today in Congress. We'll cover it in a later video, but the director of the CIA came out and said, this guy was wrong. He didn't know what he was talking about. More importantly, he wasn't allowed into any briefings because we knew he was a leaker. He ran to the Tucker Carlson show. I believe today he was on with Candace Owens. So you know what they're going to be talking about. They're going to be talking about Utah and all this other information. But we need to stay focused because there's a lot of distractions happening right here at home. And a lot of the people here at home are confused. This is a perfect example, and I'm going to show you this. This is AI generated footage by the Iranian government, by the IRGC, of apparently that is an F-15 that has been shot down by the Iranians. Now, what is odd here is that it was an F-35, one of our stealth fighters. According to CNN, the plane landed safely. This video shows a different story. I'm on the assumption it's fake. This is more fake information, more fake news that we're actually having to fight here in our own country. And it's laughable because there's a lot of people sitting behind a microphone like I am that are just making up stories for clicks because that's what sells and that's what pays their bills.
Even though that regime is trying really hard to ensure the world can't see, right? They want to put out fake AI-generated images, which, by the way, sometimes our press happens to fall for, like the Abraham Lincoln on fire and turning around. These AI-generated images are meant to make it look like something's happening when the exact opposite is. So they make up fake reports and fake images to lie to their own people to try to make it. But even then, their own people can barely receive a lot of those messages and communicate because of the blackout that they've imposed upon them. But we work around that for sure.
The news media, CNN, MSDNC, Fox News is guilty of it. A lot of these outlets, they want to be first rather than right. There's a guy that has a lot of hair gel and funny glasses and refers to himself as a child in the third person. He does the same thing. Wants to be first rather than accurate. And here we try to be accurate. Now, overnight, Israel made some attacks that upset the president of the United States. And he called it out. Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as the South Pars gas field in Iran. A small section of the whole has been hit. The United States knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it. So the president is calling out Israel. And I know there's a lot of people that will say that the president is controlled by Israel, but it damn sure doesn't seem like that. This is an article from the Gateway Pundit where Trump announced Israel violently lashed out. They are our ally in that area, basically our only ally. And I think it's a binary choice between the people with the prayer rugs and the people without. But for all of those naysayers that say Donald Trump is controlled by anyone, do you really believe that any leader of a foreign country could control this guy? Because I don't think he is viable. I don't think he's controllable. And I believe he lives, walks, and talks that way. And his entire cabinet knows it. You get on board or you get out. And that's the way that Trump is running the country. He's running it like a business. Like him or not, that's up to you. That is you to decide. But I think this shows, by this post by Donald Trump, it shows that he is not going to be controlled by anyone. It says no more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field. I believe it's one of the world's largest natural gas supplies. And by him calling them out, by him calling out Israel, this supposed country that controls him, it's going to change the entire dynamic. It's covering a lot of stories here. A lot of different outlets are running with the same thing. He blast Israel for attacking this Iranian gas field. I'm glad to see it because the president takes so much heat from so many people. It is a constant barrage of attack, either here in our own country with misinformation, all the talking heads, Iran stepping up attacks against Gulf oil facilities or sending crude prices soaring. That is incorrect. More misinformation to show dissent within the United States. Sentcom just released some footage here of more naval vessels being sank, more military targets being hit. And what needs to happen is the pressure needs to stay on for this entire time frame. And no other time before have we had this amount of access to footage, this amount of access to what is happening. Under the previous administration, there were leaks. This is different. This is controlled. This is released. They're releasing tactical, unclassified footage to show exactly the accomplishments here. The Secretary of War has so many things juggling right now. And even he addressed the attacks by Israel on this gas field And I'll let you listen to what he said here.
We'll take one more right here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jordan Conradson with the Gateway Pundit. So with the strike yesterday on South Pars gas field, if the U.S. didn't know about it or didn't approve of it, it kind of seems like a trend of Israel apparently pursuing their own objectives over U.S. objectives.
We hold the cards. We have objectives. Those objectives are clear. We have allies pursuing objectives as well. And the truth speaks for itself. I mean, President Trump was very clear about that. Iran has weaponized energy for decades. Israel clearly sent a warning, and POTUS has made it clear, very clear. Iran knows when you hit Kharg Island and you hit military capabilities on Kharg Island, which is the only thing we hit, we can hold anything at issue. Anything.
The Trump administration, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, have made sure to only target tactical resources, resources that would, what I would say, damage Iran's economy. Apparently, there's a lot of cash leaving Iran right now. People are pulling cash out. The Iranian regime leaders there, people in that country, are trying to get their money out before it becomes worthless, before there is complete and total financial collapse in that country. And it's happening. It is happening in real time. Israel went on this little rogue mission. The president called them out for that. And I believe that will change. Those dynamics do not need to happen. The president of the United States, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, need to remain in control of everything in that region. The president has also started or has mentioned not putting boots on the ground in that area. And maybe he's just not showing his cards. Maybe he doesn't want people to know what he's doing next. That's the one thing that we have learned from President Trump is you don't know what he's doing until he's already done it. Kharg Island, tactical resource. If there was going to be a place where I believe boots would be put on the ground, it would be on that island. And I don't think he's going to do it because Israel wants it done. I don't believe he's going to do it because of some moron senator like Lindsey Graham demanding that happens. Lindsey Graham's not a member of the cabinet. And he should probably remember that he's not a member of the cabinet.
Words from the Secretary of War earlier as U.S. forces continue to pound Iran. New Sentcom video shows airstrikes targeting Iranian naval boats near the Strait of Hormuz, even hitting a fast attack boat that was pulled out of the water, hiding on a trailer beneath a tree. So
I'm going to show you something here. This is another resource that no one's talking about that the United States is targeting. Oil is in an abundance in that Middle East region. The other thing that is not in abundance there is fresh water. And there's only 2, I think 4 total desalination plants in the area where it converts seawater, pulls the saline, pulls the salt, pulls all of these substances out so it makes drinking water. And now 2 of these desalination plants have been targeted. So one of the resources that you and I may take for granted is not being taken for granted in that area. And it could very well bring this entire war to an end with just a little bit of H2O, to quote the water boy. And this is something no one is talking about. This is something that everyone needs. You can only live a few days without fresh water. And you cut into this water supply. I don't know if the United States is doing it. I don't know if Israel's doing it, if these plants are just being hit accidentally. But wouldn't this be ironic in the Middle East if the entire Operation Epic Fury was brought down, was ended, if the Iranian regime was ended because of attacks and damage to their water supply? Guys, thank you for tuning in. This is the Ben Dykes Show. Really appreciate you. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out of the door. We're going to keep you updated with what's going on. And what's happening is extremely important considering the new information that is coming out of the Senate meetings, the testimony from Tulsi Gabbard and the CIA director, John Radcliffe, that Iran did have materials, 440 kilograms of uranium, that they were trying to enrich to make 11 nuclear missiles, maybe 10 to 12. But that information coming out just proves that the leakers that were part of the cabinet or some of the staff, Joe Kent, were wrong. And if this investigation of these leakers continues, what happens next? Where does it go next? What do we need to do to continue to maintain our integrity within our information systems, InfoSec? I'll talk to you later.